Hello, humans, and welcome to another unhinged yet dorky episode of Ingoko.
The conversation.
And you are once again joined by your hosts, Sisako Mawe.
And Apu Mtwago. And today we are in South Africa, as we always are, really. And today in South Africa we're celebrating Human Rights Day.
Human Rights Day, the 21st of March. It commemorates in 1960 in Sharpeville, where police opened fire on protesters for justice and equality, where 69 were killed and 180 were injured.
We should do well to not forget our history and remember it. So I think that's why we have to celebrate Human Rights Day. And today we're talking about the right to freedom of choice and the choice to be child-free.
And we make a distinction between child-free and childless because we are making an active choice, whereas some people do not have that ability or are really, really struggling. And so our hearts go out to you, and we hope that things work out. But in so remembering, this podcast is a fun podcast where we try not to delve too heavily into the deep, the dark, as well as the real, where we keep it lighthearted and also a bit controversial.
A little bit controversial. And you know me, I love controversy. I think I'm always making controversial statements. I've listened to a few of the episodes and I'm like, this girl, honestly wild. So we might ruffle a few feathers, and that's really okay because that's what we're here to do, to spark a conversation in your living room, in your workspace, in your car.
And in so saying, I guess we're going to do our normal segment of pet check-in or furry friend
yes,
check-in.
Of course.
How's Peanut Butter?
Peanut Butter is thriving. I think the other day I actually witnessed him get the zoomies. He was actually being a lot more active than usual. And I was like, what's going on? But yeah, we're having a good time. We're chilling in our little corner of the world. And I got to spend a lot more time with him yesterday because it was my off day. And today, like you said, is Human Rights Day, and I have to go to work. I feel like my basic human rights are being infringed upon, but it's really okay. I will survive this one. And how's Scully?
Scully, as you saw this morning, he's very attached in that, you see, the funny thing is he does what most cats do, as some people say. When you're fine, you're quiet, he's fine, he's quiet. Then as soon as you start working or like doing a hobby,
he also gets a burst of energy.
He gets a burst of energy, he gets involved. Like today, he was lying on top of the laptop, making it almost impossible to begin recording. He was lying on our journals, making it impossible to write any notes or stuff like that.
Yeah, Scully is a bit of a character. I wish my cat was like more active, but like, actually I don't, because I typically don't have the energy to match his energy. So if he's matching my energy, I'm usually just like grumpy, groggy, sleepy, and that's probably why he acts the way he acts, because he's mirroring me.
Possibly. I mean, maybe that's true because honestly speaking, I have energy when I need to have energy. Otherwise, I'm lounging, I'm relaxing, not by choice. Finding work is a bit difficult at the moment.
Oh, man.
Yeah, no, I'm not sad about it. And then when I need to do something, I get up and I do it. So maybe he is like his daddy.
Yes, I think so. And speaking of daddies, do you plan on having kids?
No.
No?
I mean, it's funny because even getting married was not a thing in my head. It was going to be child-free, unbidden, untied down. But yeah, no, kids were never a factor in my mind because also it's the type of thing when you start thinking about it. Say I get successful, I have a child. Then there's this 18-year-old complaining at me about how I was never around.
I think we've mentioned this before.
I was working all the time.
I think I feel you. For me, I think growing up in a household with younger siblings really made it, it did it for me. I was like, this is what I don't want to have to deal with. And it's just, if I'm going to have kids, right now, I'm 29, I'm child-free, and I'm living my best life. I can't imagine having to deal with like a child at this age when I'm still healing my own childhood wounds and childhood traumas, it would be very difficult for me to invite another person, an innocent, into this life, to have to contend with what I'm able to give at the time, which might be the bare minimum or even less. I don't know. But yeah, as I was saying, growing up in a household with younger siblings, I was like, why would I want to do this again? And every time I speak to my mom, she was like, yeah, I think I mentioned this before. She was like, yeah, this is not something to be proud of. But for me, it's a bit of an achievement, like to get to a certain age and you haven't been duped by the system into having kids that basically politically castrates you and make you just a person who is unable to act in life because you're always thinking about the well-being of these kids. You always have to put them first. And I would be mother to these kids. It's not the same as probably. I would be mother. Yes, I would be. I would have to carry them, birth them, and nurture them. Like, I just don't feel like for me, the physical and emotional labor of that needs to be at least shared equally amongst whoever is involved in the making of that. And the only way I think I can tentatively, even, I can't say it's a guarantee, the only way I could possibly achieve that is if I was married first, and my views on marriage are also very dim.
No, I get that, but I think on my end, I grew up as an mostly only child. Up until 10 there was another, but she passed, and then after that, I think I grew up mostly as an only child. And I loved the attention. Like, I think I've got, like, only child syndrome because I love the attention. I don't look for attention outside of family, but when I'm with family, I'm just like, y'all better give me this attention.
You better, just like
right?
schooling.
But I don't know why or what happened to inform me not. I remember what it was. Seeing my mother toil endlessly as a single mother, as an unemployed mother, and basically for another human being. And that stressed me the hell out because it's the question of, would I be willing to sacrifice everything that I am for this human being that I have brought into the world, whether it is purposefully or accidentally?
Excuse me, what's accidentally?
People...
There are no accidents.
You know what I mean, unintentionally then.
Okay.
And so then I think for me, it was just no. If I'm going to suffer, I'm going to suffer on my own.
I think I also had this conversation with my mom. I was like, yeah, I'm thinking there was a time when I thought about having children. And that was because of the person I was with at the time. They were very adamant, I want to have kids. And I thought to myself, but why? Like, why is this important? I think with growth and understanding, and obviously having left that situation, I come to understand that, like, some men, not all, some men will use the prospect of childbearing as a means to control you or to get into your head about something. And yes, to have a level of access to you that no one else will have, because they now, even if you break up, they still can claim as the father of your child to have a role in your life as a co-parent. So they have unfettered access to you, but they haven't done any of the work. They haven't, in my culture, you have to pay lobola and stuff like that. Or if you have a child. No, like if you have a child and you're not married, there's obviously damages that are paid, right? And for them, that's like, it's not a lot of money. It's not.
Done.
Yeah, obviously. But I think outside of that, like taking care of the child, like there's certain things that he would be able to have an opinion on, like who you date outside of like the children.
No, he doesn't.
No, but like an opinion. I'm not saying he has control over that. Like he just has an opinion. Like some I've heard some dads like be like, if my baby mama, also that term baby mama kills me. Like I would never want to talk about it. I would never want to be referred to as someone's baby mama. I know there's lots of baby mamas out there, obviously doing the work, the thankless job of raising young children, with whether the fathers are present or absent or otherwise. They're doing an amazing job. But for me, like it would be very stressful because who am I? I know who I am. Who am I? I suffer from mental health issues. I would not be able to deal with someone else in my life who hasn't, like, I don't know, who is not my husband telling me what to do about things that have, like,
No, I get it. It's almost like the thing where you can set boundaries, but there's a certain fluidity in those boundaries because of the fact that you share such a
yes, they
massive
have
bond.
influence. They would have some level of influence
Yeah.
into how I'm raising my child, because at some point I would depend on them for support.
Yeah.
I would depend on them for I guess half, if not half, then some of the child rearing. They would have to be a present, individual.
And this is assuming that they're not a deadbeat, right?
Assuming they're not oh my goodness, assuming they're not a deadbeat, because what guarantees do I have if I'm going into a thing like that with somebody that is not, legally recognized as a partner, as a spouse? So I think for me, it's more to protect myself and my sanity when I say I would rather be married. I'm not, and also just the protections that marriage offers are limited. They're not
Yeah.
100% surefire that they're going to be there. You can still be a single mom when you are in a marriage. It's
Yeah.
crazy. I know, I've seen it.
That's very passionate.
I'm sorry.
But now there's a question that must be asked. There's this thing called baby fever. You know, it's this intense feeling of wanting your own.
Really?
And I've been experiencing it, but have you ever been bitten by baby fever? Because there was, as I mentioned before, there was this child on the bus. And this baby, so adorable, like cutest cheeks, clean, fresh smelling. Like, I don't know why smell is such a thing that comes up when like, for example, when babies are around me. And I just get like this intense, overriding, almost, I guess, physiological desire to have one, to make one. But then on top of that, what does it mean to have that feeling, but then realizing that it isn't compatible with your way of life, right?
Sure.
Have you ever been bitten by baby fever?
No, that's never happened to me.
Are you sure? Never even having held one?
No.
Oh, okay.
The moment I hold a child, I just want to give it back. Like, and I feel like, why are you making me do this? Like, why? Because that's how it felt. Like, growing up, like, my siblings are much younger than me. I think my mom's youngest is 9, and then I have another sister who's 11, and I have a brother who's turning 18. So I was pretty much able to take care of a child or babysit by the time I was 11 when my brother showed up. So it always felt like it was something that I had to do, because my mom didn't have, like, she couldn't afford help. So I would have to be, if I was around, not that she couldn't afford help, but like, I think she thought that it would, I don't know, it was like a bonding experience or something.
Yeah.
She could afford help, but she made it seem like I had to take care of my brother because it was my duty, like,
Yeah,
as an older sibling. So I did it, but it was never like the highlight of my vacation, because now I have to sit at home and take care of this whiny brat. And,
They actually have a term for it, the parentification of a child.
yes, so I think that happened to me. I think parentification happened to me, and for that reason I decided, you know what, honestly, I wouldn't want to inflict this on any other person. I wouldn't want to have a child. And also, what is this business of this child gap? Because the age gap between me and my brother is 11 years exactly.
Yep.
And then my sister would be, I think it would be 20 years or 18.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be 18, and the other child is 20 years. So you can imagine. And then they still have, they're grown now. They'll have the gumption to be like, oh, sis aphiwe uzoba naye nomntana. And I'm like, what? Why do you want me to have children? You're not going to support me. You're not going to help me raise this child. You're 11 years old. What are you going to do?
Fair. And I think, I mean, for my family, my grandparents on my mother's side were the last people to get married. And their daughters are all single mothers. And I applaud them for raising the kids up and, like, into adulthood. Like, adulthood is like the cap, I guess.
This tea is hitting.
I'm glad. Oh, we're having rooibos tea with lime.
Delicious.
And it's my favorite way of drinking it. But I find it funny, because on one hand, I grew up as an only child. But on my father's side, like, there are lots of us. I think I'm number 11 or so. So... But I didn't grow up with them. They weren't really in my life, except when I was very, very young, and I can barely remember that. and he was an only child. So I find that particular experience very interesting, because if he's an only child, I'm an only child. Why is it that I don't want to make babies? But then also, it's got nothing to do with me, because it might be some form of irresponsibility.
I think for you, it's obviously you would experience parenthood as a father figure. And I think if you were to have children, you would want to be there based on what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Because you've got from your father's side, like, you're the 11th, so there's a lot of you, and you can't spread yourself across 11 children.
No.
And be an active father.
No.
Unless they're all in the same yard, or your mseleku. I don't know. But in any case, I think for me, knowing that the physical labor, I have to carry this child.
Yes.
My body will have to change.
Yeah.
And I will have to undergo this near-death experience, which is what childbirth is.
Yeah.
Because people can die. You can develop high blood pressure. You can become blind. There's a whole list of things that could go wrong.
Eclampsia.
So many things that I don't even know what that means, but yes. So, and what is the father doing during all of that time?
Holding your hand.
Holding my hand. That's not enough. Like I feel like the bulk of having children is the woman's responsibility in most cases. Like, there was even a point in my life where I was like, I will not, I choose to not have children, and it is my choice. And if I ever feel like I want to have children, then I would rather adopt. You know what's funny though?
What's funny?
What's funny is I will not date or entertain a person who already has kids.
And you know what? That's okay.
Is that okay?
I'm sorry.
Do I just hate kids? Is
no,
that what's
I don't.
happening?
I don't think you hate kids. It's like, that's okay. Like, I don't know why people take it as such a bad thing. You know, I mean, it's discrimination, sure, but in the schematic of forming of your life,
I don't want to show up into your life and you have sometimes the mom and dad, they can agree and they can co-parent effectively, and it's nice. But I'm not willing to run that risk. What if you're not at peace with each other? What if you guys are, what if you're not a good enough dad and she has to chase you around town to get you to do anything right?
But regardless of that, you're already stepping into a massive responsibility.
It's big, and I don't want it. Like,
fair.
If I don't want my kids, like, what makes you think? What makes you think I want to be around your kids? Like, what makes you? No, thanks, I'm good.
But on that point, friend, have you ever experienced this thing? You know, people with children, and they walk up to you, then they ask you if you want to have kids, and then when you give them a blunt no, they get kind of confused or sometimes upset about it.
Can I just tell you something? I don't know if this is a family secret, but like, most of us from my dad's side, we don't have kids.
Ooh.
Like, I have cousins who are older than me who don't have kids, and that's fine. Like, we're focusing on our careers. Okay, I don't have much of a career, but yeah.
It's working.
Yeah, it's coming. Cooking. So people are just focusing on their careers, getting their education right, developing their skills. And I spoke to my cousin about this. I was like, oh, when do you consider getting married and having kids? And she was like, honestly, like, the lifestyle of marriage is a little bit too fast for me. One thing leads to another. Now you're having kids.
Yeah.
Now you're old. You've aged 10 years all of a sudden because you're stressed out all the time because you have to take care of this little one.
But there is some scientific basis to that, because they found that like married couples or people in partnerships, the men's life expectancy tends to go up and the women's life expectancy tends to go down.
I read that women's life expectancy doesn't change whether they date a person who's older or younger, and also single women have they have more positive outcomes in life than married women. So single women are having a good time, pretty much like me, and I don't have to worry about anything, and the only responsibility I can afford is my cat. And I'm happy about, you know what, I was talking to somebody and I was like, I'm just chilling with my cat yesterday.
Yeah.
And they said to me, oh, then you must be single. Only single people have cats. And I was like, I don't know if that's accurate.
That's not accurate. That is not accurate at all.
I was like, I don't know if that's a fact, but yes, I am single, and I prefer it that way. And anyone who comes into my life will have to compete with me, because I am the star of the show.
Yes.
And I can take care of myself without you. So if you're coming in and you want to join me in this walk of life, then there's certain things that obviously we need to talk about.
Yeah.
Like this having kids chat. Like when I meet men who have kids and I tell them, oh, they're like, I ask them, how many kids do you have? Or do you have any kids? And they say, yes. And I ask, how many? They're like, 2 or 3. And I'm like, that's too much. That's too many. And they're like, yeah, but, you should have kids. We can make a child. I'm like, why is that romantic to you?
Yeah.
Why is that a statement that you are making? Like, why is it important for me to be one of the 3 that you already have?
Or even, why is it a romantic idea that making kids would make me easier for you to access?
Thank you. Why is making kids your first response? Why isn't it something else? I don't know. Like, let me pay for your tuition or something. I don't know. Whatever.
Pay for my tuition.
Do you have a
wish.
degree? Can we sort that out? Can we get you? Please, God. I just need a break.
It's stressful.
I just need a break from the break that I'm on, honestly, because
even talking about being child-free and considering the ramifications of having children, maybe we just take it too seriously, because you know how people say there's no formula, there's no true book,
there's no being
true
ready.
guide, there's no being ready. But I mean, if you know that and you're on the fence about it, why is it not better then not to embark on the experiment than it is to embark on the experiment?
See, there are no guarantees. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I also, me, I suffer from the issues that I mentioned before. I don't want to pass that shit down also.
Same.
I don't want to pass that shit down. And I also don't want my child to experience the least of me because I have more down days than I have up days. I mean, of course, I am on medication and I'm able to manage my symptoms and my moods that way. But I don't know. What if I have a child and then suddenly I have a new brand of illnesses like postpartum depression and other stressful scenarios that people in the Black community don't take seriously at all.
I mean, that's fair. But also, I'm not going to take away from people who do have kids who are doing a really good job. And what I've noticed is that a lot of times parents feel like they're not doing a good job. And then I look at the outcome, which is the child who's happy, who's able to communicate their feelings, and is able to, a child who's able or emotionally secure enough to communicate these things to their parents as well as people around them. And then I wonder, what is this deep-seated feeling of fear? What is this deep-seated, and that's fine. I get it. It's a precious human being. It's another human being. It's your human being, so to speak, for 18 years or so.
Even that school of thought that your children are now your property, you own them. They're an extension.
That's not
of
what
you.
I meant.
They're an extension of you somehow. I feel like once a child is born, of course, they need you for a certain period. They're attached to you because they love you, because I think children develop the feeling of bonding with their parents because that's their source of food.
Yes.
And, that's just an animalistic, trait.
Care.
Yeah. like as an animal, you only care about what benefits you the most. And that's your parent as a child.
But does that then negate the sort of bonds that are formed after?
Yes, of course. We are human beings.
Yeah.
We are able to form certain bonds outside of the animal kingdom. We are able to form those bonds, but that takes time and care and being present. And that's why I'm saying in the formative years, if I am to be a mother, I would prefer for the father to also be present. I don't have control over it, of course, because I could marry a person. I could have this children. They could choose. Okay, I don't like this child's vibes. I'm out, and that's fine because I can't force you to stay. If you want to go, you must go. You probably have things to do. I understand.
No, that's fair. And I think a lot of times we've been speaking about variables we can't control. These types of things.
But you know what I can control? My own self.
Yourself, yes.
Self-control, honestly, is the best thing because if you know yourself and you have certain goals and outcomes that you wish to see in your life, and one of them is having kids, by all means, like, you are well within your rights. That is your choice. No one is taking that away from you. It's a beautiful decision. I feel like children are a blessing, and it's a blessing to be able to care for somebody that deeply and unconditionally.
But it's your blessing.
But it's your blessing, and good luck, because I am not coming to that party, not yet anyway. And until I find somebody who ticks all my boxes, who treats me with love and care, who respects my decision making, who's able to be in it for the long haul, who wants the same things as me, only then will I ever consider having children, if I have the right partner.
And even
Otherwise,
then, it's a big consideration.
It's a big consideration. Like, I'm becoming more and more comfortable with the possibility and the fact that I am single.
Yes.
And I am child free, and I don't particularly like men. Like, I don't
think that's true. I don't think that's true. I think, honestly speaking, I'm not telling you how to feel or whatever, but you do. From what I've seen, evidence.
Yeah, I do like them, obviously, but like, I don't particularly like the way that that men are represented by certain men in the community.
Fair.
I'm scared. I am terrified. I don't want to make mistakes that I have to live with.
But then isn't that part of our diagnosis then, if I might conjecture, that we feel a sense of loss of control? And I think because there's been so much in life that we couldn't control, that this is the one thing we can.
Yes, I will say that, but I don't want to make it seem like we're
traumatized.
Yeah, like this is a trauma response. It partially is, because life is a traumatic experience. Being born into this world is a traumatic experience on its own. That's why we cry so much. And then you are fortunate enough to get parents who will understand you, who will nurture your gifts and make sure that you are happy and taken care of.
But speaking of parents, right? Doesn't it annoy you though when parents sort of expect you as, the aunt or whatever to play an active role? Like, I know for myself, I helped to raise my nieces and nephews, and I did that out of my own volition.
I would never do that.
But now the older I'm getting, the more I respect my own free time, the more I respect my me time.
Yeah.
And I remember that...
If you have children, that's your own business. Please don't make your problems my problem.
And I remember one of my cousins, right? She got really upset this one time. I just gotten back from work. I was really tired. And she was talking about going out for the weekend and was like... You can basically, they didn't even ask me. They're like, you can take care of my kid. I was like, no.
Yeah.
I was like, hell no. And the funny thing for me is my family knows if I want to do something, I'm going to do something. If I don't want to do something, there's no way in hell I'm going to do it. And then it was like this constant prodding as if it was an expectation. And I was like, no, even if it wasn't an expectation, if she'd asked me nicely, I still would have said no, because I was tired from work and I was up to having my weekend to myself.
Yeah, I'm the eldest, so I probably would be the person in the position of your cousin, because I don't think my life has to end when I have kids. I still want to have groove time. I still want to do these things.
And that's fair, but it's her kid.
Yes, but you must be able, if I'm going to have kids, I must be able to afford care when I'm unable to do so.
Yes.
I must be able to afford these things. And that's why focusing on my career, waking up in the morning, as I do, working on Human Rights Day.
Yes, queen.
As I am, to make sure that I can secure my future and a brighter future for the kids that I may or may not have. Either way, as long as I have certain things like clocked by a certain age, I feel like I'm okay. And kids are just not part of that list unless it's under the protection of marriage.
So clock that.
Clock that T, mama.
And in so saying, ladies and gentlemen, or humans rather, I don't know why people used to say ladies and gentlemen. It's so loose.
Yeah.
So humans, thank you for joining us for another episode of Ingoko.
The Conversation.
And next week, we might have the luxury of interviewing a good friend of mine who does some wonderful things, but we'll let her introduce herself next week.
Awesome.
And for now, we say goodbye.
Goodbye.